Hello everyone, I hope y'all are well. In today's video, I wanted to show you guys a few of my favorite warm, cozy dinner recipes, but they will also help you get to your goals. So they're high in protein, they are lower in calories, but we're not doing any low fat this, or it's still all real food, whole food, and it still tastes good. And that to me is the most important. You can't just eat a salad every night or some grilled salmon, especially when it's cold. I like to have something hearty, something warm, cozy, nourishing, and these recipes are exactly that. So this first one is a chicken pot pie soup. You're gonna need some celery and onion. You're also gonna need some carrots, potatoes, and I'm gonna add peas. I feel like you have to have peas in a chicken pot pie. I'm just gonna add this can of peas that I've had sitting in my pantry.
So first thing I did was bake these 2 chicken breasts. I seasoned them with garlic, onion powder, salt, pepper, and paprika, and I'm just shredding them apart with my forks.
You're also gonna need some bone broth. I'm gonna use olive oil.
Then we're going to finely chop half an onion. Add that to our Dutch oven with some olive oil.
Okay.
Now we are going to chop 4 carrots and about 2 to 3 stalks of celery.
Let me see. Oh, that's very pretty.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
My daughter really wanted to show everyone her coloring here. Then add those veggies to the Dutch oven.
All right, so I just added in a little splash of bone broth, and I'm gonna turn this up just a little bit and let these soften.
Now I am going to peel and mince my garlic and add that in once the vegetables have gotten a little softer.
I am not someone who likes a ton of kitchen gadgets. I think you can really overspend, overconsume, and just have too much. But a garlic press, garlic mincer, this is something I would definitely have, and I use this pretty much every single day. Your garlic last from this carrot, celery, onion trifecta because it will burn. So you want to add that when the vegetables have soaked up most of the oil and the bone broth and they're getting a little bit soft. You are going to cook this for a while, so it doesn't need to be perfectly soft. Okay, we're going to add in a few seasonings. So we're going to do salt and pepper, a little bit of parsley, basil, and rosemary. I will add all of the measurements, the description, but I like to just measure with my heart. I don't ever actually measure things like seasoning, spices, all of that. Unless I'm baking, I have learned with baking, I actually have to pay attention and listen to the rules and follow a recipe. But when I am cooking, I really just put a lot of what I like and not so much of what I don't like. So that's the fun part about cooking, is you can tweak it to how you want to make it. If you don't like garlic, don't add it. And you're wrong. If you don't like onions, just don't add it. Or you can add onion powder if you don't like the texture of onions or whatever it is. So tweak it to your liking. Let me take off the fun stopper. All right, now whoa, there you go. That's for the dog. Hang on, it's gonna be hot. Don't burn yourself. Is that good? All right, so we turn that down. Gonna let the seasonings just mend a little bit, and while I do that, I'm gonna cut up some potatoes. So some of the potatoes we are gonna cut, some of them we're gonna leave whole, and we are gonna take them out and actually use our immersion blender and essentially make mashed potatoes to help thicken the soup without using like a flour or a cornstarch or a heavy cream. Potatoes are actually quite low in calories, so don't be afraid to use potatoes. So because we're going to cook this for quite some time, I don't like cutting them super small. So just kind of bite size. I also leave the, oh man, I'm really feeding the dog. The dog cannot have potatoes. I like them in bite-sized pieces, and I also do like to leave the skin on. There's a lot of nutrients in the skin, and when it's these little potatoes, you don't really notice it. If it's like a russet potato, like a baking potato, then I will peel it because the texture is not as good with the skin with those. Also going to add in our bone broth. I'm just going to use the whole thing. I like soupy soup, so I may actually add some more later. We'll just see how thick it is. My husband likes really thick soup. I like really brothy soup. So, like I said, tailor it to how you like it.
Now this recipe calls for 2 cups of potatoes cut into quarters and then 1 cup of potatoes. We're just going to leave these whole and then use those to make the mashed potatoes.
I'm gonna add these in whole, and then I'm gonna take these out later and use that immersion blender on them. So I'm gonna put the lid on, bring this to a light boil, then we're gonna come back, take those whole potatoes out and blend them up. I also almost forgot my can of peas, so I'm gonna add that in now. You don't have to add these, but I like them. You can also add green beans or whatever other vegetables that you like. We are going to a neighborhood Christmas party here in a little bit, hence my Christmas attire. I made over 60 cookies, so we were quite busy. I'm gonna actually add in another entire thing of bone broth. It turned out quite thick. So when the potato is breaking apart like that, I just used the back of the knife, so not the sharp side, and it cut just fine. So I'm gonna take all of my whole potatoes. It's okay if you get a little bit of the vegetables in there, and you wanna get some of the broth as well, and put those into a separate bowl. And we're gonna add in a half a cup of milk to this mixture right here. So to our potato mixture, you're gonna add a half a cup of milk. I am using cashew milk. I am temporarily dairy-free just to heal a gut issue that I've been having. You can use regular milk, you can use half and half. That would definitely make it more creamy, but would also increase the calories. So just be mindful of that. But we're gonna do half a cup of milk into our potato mixture. Then we're going to grab our immersion blender. I used to be so scared of this thing, but I actually love it. If you don't have one, that is okay. You can use a potato masher or a blender even.
So we essentially just made some really creamy mashed potatoes. We're gonna add that into the soup.
If you want this to be thicker, I would omit the second can of bone broth, but I really do like the soupy soup. Another way that you can thicken this up, and this is something that I do with a white chicken chili, is take a can of chickpeas or garbanzo beans. Is that the same thing? Not sure. But chickpeas, whatever they are, and you can do the same immersion blender with some bone broth or water or milk or whatever, and blend those up and then throw that into either this. That will add some protein and some fiber, and that will also thicken it up nicely. That's what I do with my white chicken chili recipe. We're gonna add the chicken in that we shredded earlier, not splash all over ourselves. This is the only thing I hate about cast iron is how heavy it is. All right, so this is how it's looking so far. So I'm gonna keep the lid off and let it simmer for a little bit, let some of that liquid evaporate so it will thicken up a little bit more. Now, I've made a variation of this before, and I actually added bacon to it. It was like a loaded baked potato soup. So it was pretty much this, and I think I added a bit of cheese to it and some cooked bacon on top, and that was really good. I would add that, but I don't have any bacon with me. So it would increase the calories, of course, but worth it.
And here we go. It looks so good.
Okay, that is too hot to try, but while we're waiting, look at these. I found these at one of my favorite local antique stores, and I had to get them. We call our daughter Lucy Goose, so anytime I see a goose thing, I have to get it. I thought these were so cute.
I want some soup.
It's hot, Ev. Can you go get a bowl? Please ignore the plethora of boxes behind us. 'Tis the season.
This was so good. Both my daughters kept asking for more, so this one is definitely a family favorite.
For tonight's dinner, we are doing Marry Me chicken with a spaghetti squash. The recipe that I was looking at says to use coconut cream. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know if I like the taste. I have the cashew milk as well. If you don't need to be dairy-free, then don't worry about it. Just use, like, I think I've used half and half in the past. But for the spaghetti squash, you need to cut it. This thing is very intimidating. You need to cut it lengthwise. How did I do this before? Oh my gosh, when you cut it, maybe if I didn't have it on the stove, that would help. Probably. Oh my gosh, this was not as hard. There we go. I'm really selling you on the spaghetti squash because I was going to talk about how easy this is and how it's so much easier than zucchini noodles. But man, I did see something where you can put the whole thing in the oven at like a lower temp for a little bit just to make it easier to cut. And I read that and I was like, why would I do that? This thing's perfectly easy to cut. But this one is not. But oh my gosh, if you need to do that. I'm actually out of breath. You cut it in half, Add olive oil, salt, pepper, cook it face down for 40 minutes, y'all. We're gonna be eating a late dinner. Just use a spoon, scoop out. This smells like a pumpkin. All right, so first we're struggling to cut it in half, and then we're gonna add some olive oil and then salt and pepper, flip it face down, and then pop it in the oven. Alexa, set a timer for 40 minutes. For the rest of the recipe, it says we need 4 boneless chicken breasts. This is 1.5 pounds, a little bit more than that, so I hope that is enough. You also need some olive oil, 1/2 cup of bone broth, 1/2 cup of sun-dried tomatoes, and then 1 cup of coconut milk. I'm doing coconut cream. Apparently you put it in the fridge and then you skim off the top for this cream. It says 4 cloves of garlic. I'm using a lot more because we like garlic. Salt and pepper. Then we're also going to do some, I just organized this, so here I am showing this off. And we're gonna use some red pepper flakes, oregano, and some basil. So first thing we're gonna do is season and cook our chicken breast. So I'm gonna use the basil, oregano, and then some salt and pepper. Open up the fun stopper. Don't be afraid to season your food. This preheated over here. This is warm enough, so we're gonna put in some olive oil and add our chicken breast. I'm using 2 thick-ish chicken breasts. Now, I love sun-dried tomatoes. I love all tomatoes. My husband's not a big fan. I think it's a texture thing more than a flavor thing. So I'm going to cut these up really, really finely. And I'm also going to add a little bit of this oil. This is just olive oil. I'm making a mess. I'm going to add this to the chicken because it's already soaked up the olive oil that I put in. Give it a bit more of that sun-dried tomatoes flavor. I always need to roll my sleeves up when my hands are already dirty. Just hang on. There we go. Nothing overstimulates me more than my sleeves or my hair. My hair being in my face, I can't handle it. All right, now I'm gonna get to mincing the garlic. Ooh, I should probably flip my chicken before I forget about it. Oh yeah. Y'all see that? I almost forgot about my chicken. That looks good. Okay, these sears are looking really nice, so I'm going to hold it. I hope y'all can hear me over the sizzling and the children playing upstairs. I'm going to hold it like this just to get a sear on the side. I just like having those good crusty pieces. Now, I'm not going to cook this perfectly. It's not going to be completely done because I'm going to take them off and then I'm going to cut them and then I'm going to put them back in and they will cook that way.
Now, this recipe calls for 1/2 tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm using like quadruple. We really like garlic and it's actually very good for you.
Oops. Got a little too angry at that one. So now I'm going to mince these and put these in with our chicken over here. You just add in some bone broth. Okay, I'm just going to add in a splash of bone broth because it has really soaked up that olive oil and I don't want to add more. Goodness. Okay. It smells so good now. I just need this garlic. Ooh. With a peel. I need the garlic to cook a little bit. Then I'm going to take the chicken out. Then we're going to deglaze the pan a little bit with some more bone broth. And looks like I already got all the bits off by that little bit of bone broth I added. But we're going to add a little bit more bone broth in and make the yummy sauce. Take this chicken out. Okay, and we'll cut this later. If I were to bottle up this smell and make candle out of it, I would. 1/2 cup of bone broth. I'm being really gutsy tonight and just not measuring. This could backfire. I feel like that was not 1/2 cup, but I'd rather add in more later than add it in now. Okay, and I'm also gonna add in my sun-dried tomatoes. Add it in sparingly. I'm scared. So I put this in my coffee thinking that I would really like it because it's super thick. And I didn't. It literally just tastes like straight coconut, which, I mean, yes, Jordan, it is coconut, but it was just a lot for me. So I may be relying on the cashew milk. I'm just gonna see how this thickens and how this acts. I really don't know what I'm doing with this stuff. I've never cooked with this before, so this is great to do it on camera the first time. Good idea. Good plating. Okay, ooh. I mean, it looks good. It does smell good. Maybe the garlic will offset, and all those sun-dried tomatoes will offset the coconutty-ness. We're gonna cut this chicken that we cooked. I also got some spinach to add at the end. I feel like this is a good hidden veggie, so anytime I can do that, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some spinach.
Here, I'm just cutting that chicken that we seared earlier into the little strips.
So with a typical Marry Me chicken, which is all I've ever made, not dairy-free or light or anything like that, you are going to be adding like heavy cream and Parmesan cheese and all of that to thicken your sauce. So this sauce is not thickening like I'd like. So I think I may add some tomato paste. Either that or crushed tomatoes. I may do crushed tomatoes. I do want it to thicken, but I don't want to be adding a bunch of calories. And I don't do dairy-free cheese or any of that. If I'm gonna do cheese, it's gonna be cheese. Okay, this recipe is more to highlight the spaghetti squash, not this concoction. Let's see. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, that's what we meant to do. All right, I'm gonna season this some more. I'm gonna add in some of those red pepper flakes, salt, and I'm gonna add in some more basil. If I had fresh basil, I would, but it's winter and my basil is dead. I had a ton. I really should have like frozen some. I've seen people put them in, they'll chop up their basil really small, they'll put it in like an ice mold and pour olive oil in there and then freeze that, so you have like a little pesto bomb almost that you can just throw in your food, and that would be really smart to do. But I don't eat all the things that I should. I'm going to add the chicken in and then hope this thickens up, and I'll probably will add in some of the cashew milk. Always making a mess. I'm seriously sweating now. This has been stressful. Recipes don't turn out how you want. I also probably should have tried this before videoing it, but oh well. Okay. I'm gonna add in, I'm trying to think if I have anything else. I don't know, the dairy-free is still new to me, so, and that's where I'm struggling the most. Gluten-free, I don't really care. I don't need it, but dairy. Like, I really want to just grate like a whole block of Parmesan cheese into this. I know like a few of my friends have to be dairy-free with breastfeeding their babies. Like their babies can't tolerate any dairy, or, you know, some people are just lactose intolerant. Some people do it for inflammation purposes. So I hope my disaster recipe here helps somebody. Spaghetti squash is almost done. I've made a mess. This is thickening up nicely. I'm gonna go ahead and rip up some little baby spinach leaves and throw that in here. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit too. All right, and then you just take your fork and look at that. I find this so satisfying. I don't know, I feel like I'm really late to the game on these because I know people were using spaghetti squash like years ago. That was a thing on the internet, and I don't know why I never tried it. I was doing zucchini noodles for the longest time, like with a spiralizer, like a handheld spiralizer. You have to like crank it, and then I got a spiralizer attachment for our KitchenAid, and I loved that. But this honestly is so much easier, and I do like it more. I think our whole family likes these more. The zucchini noodles are super watery, which these are too. Like, it's a squash. It's like 90% water. But I think they're definitely, I don't know, they're more noodly. We're gonna do what the recipe said, and I'm going to throw this in there just for a second and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? Yep, it has thickened quite nicely. actually gonna add a little bit more spinach just because I have that big tub of it and I want to actually use all of it before it goes bad.
Like the sled.
Okay.
Y'all, my sweet husband filmed this for me, and he turned the phone the wrong way, so bless him, he's still working on it. But this was actually so good. Our whole family liked this, and we had a ton for leftovers too, so definitely a win.
All right, it's not even 4 o'clock and we're gonna go ahead and get dinner at least prepped. I'm not gonna start it until a little bit later, but we're having some downtime right now. My baby is sleeping. My 4-year-old is having a lot of fun doing her homeschool activities. So that's my number one tip, is do what you can when you can. Also, let me show you. I made some of these Christmas gifts for our neighbors and at church and all that. So if you need a cute, inexpensive gift idea, let's see, this is taco seasoning. We did French onion. Got these at Hobby Lobby. I thought these were really cute. Tonight we're doing one of our favorites. We're doing mini meatloaves. I know meatloaf gets a bad rep, and we have not always been the biggest fan of meatloaves. Because they're in like a mini form, you're not having to worry about, is the middle done? Is it gonna be mushy? Because they're in it, we're cooking them in a muffin pan. So each one gets like crispy on the outside. I'll just show you because they're honestly one of our favorites now. All right, so for the meatloaf portion, we're gonna do a homemade topping as well. But for the meatloaf, it's gonna be 1 pound of ground beef, half an onion diced. If you don't like onion in your meatloaf, just leave that out. Maybe some onion powder, I don't know. Half a cup of oats. We put them in the food processor just to make them small. 1/4 cup of bone broth. I'm just using chicken bone broth because that's what I had open in the fridge. 1 large egg, 2 cloves of garlic minced. I forgot to grab that. Tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. We have this Primal Kitchen steak sauce, and honestly, it tastes very similar. Let me grab my 2 cloves of garlic, and then just some salt and pepper. We are using ground beef. You can use ground turkey. A lot of people use ground turkey because it's lower calorie, because it's more lean. But if you just get a really lean ground beef, this is a 96.4. It's actually going to be less calories than a ground turkey would be, depending on the ground turkey that you get. But the one that I was going to buy had like 11 grams of fat, which is going to make it higher in calorie. And this one only has 4.5. So I get this at Publix. I'm going to really finely chop this onion and this garlic. I'm just doing half an onion.
Yeah, that was all that was in there. It was in the bag. I found it.
And then next I would add the oats, but I'm scared to use the food processor when the baby is sleeping. Let's just get it out and see if that wakes her up.
Is it really loud?
It might be. I'm gonna do half a cup. We're just using these sprouted oats from Costco. And this is keeping it gluten-free. If you're not gluten-free or you don't have oats, breadcrumbs will work. So, fingers crossed. All right, we're good. I may push my luck and do one more. All right, we did good. Not awake yet. We're going to pour that in with our meat mixture. Then we're doing our egg. We're gonna do a 1/4 cup of bone broth. I am eyeballing it. And tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And we're gonna do some salt and pepper. I hate when I have to do it like with raw meat because I can't taste it as I'm going. I mean, I guess I could, but you know, I probably shouldn't. So I never know if I'm doing too much or too little, but I'd rather under than over on something like salt and pepper, because you can always add that after. Okay, so here we are. I am going to mix this. Honestly, it works so much better with your hand, so I'm probably gonna give up on the spoon in a minute. I'm gonna get out a muffin pan. I'm gonna spray it with some avocado oil spray. For the sauce that goes on top, instead of ketchup, you're pretty much just making your own ketchup. But I think it makes it better because you can make it how you want it. If you like it a bit more vinegary, which I personally do, then you can do that. If you want it a bit sweeter, you can do that. And we're using maple syrup, so this has no refined sugar in it. We're using 1 whole can of tomato paste. This is 6 ounces. 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I'll probably do more, but to your liking. And then probably 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And then just season with onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper to your taste. So this luckily is not the raw meat. You can taste this, and you want the consistency to be like a ketchup consistency.
I'm peeling the
Oops, I need to refill my salt. Adding some salt in. Yeah, I'm gonna add more. I'm gonna add more of everything. Okay. Yeah, that's like the consistency that I'm looking for. That's it. It needed more of everything. We are going to spray our muffin can. What is that? Just gonna kind of fill each like so. This made 6, 9, and I eat like 2. I could eat like 6. They're so good, but I need to calm down. It's actually perfect. I may need to steal some from another one. Because we're not eating now, I did not do this before, but you're gonna preheat your oven to 375, and these are going to bake for only 30 minutes. I gotta make some mashed potatoes. These are my favorite potatoes to get from Costco. I don't ever even peel them. I just wash them, and then I will boil and mash them. This is why I prep stuff before, because now she's up and being clingy. We're gonna put that in for 30 minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started on some mashed potatoes. For our vegetable side, we are just gonna do some of these frozen green beans. For these green beans, I'm just gonna cook them in some of that bone broth and add some garlic. I'm just doing garlic powder because I already washed my cutting board. I'm not getting that out again to mince some real garlic. So we're gonna use garlic powder, salt, and pepper. A little bit of bone broth. Let those cook for a bit. Mini meatloaves are almost done, so I'm going to drain the water from these potatoes. The way that I've been liking to make our dairy-free mashed potatoes is some bone broth. That's probably good. A bunch of salt and pepper. More salt. I think potatoes just need a lot of salt, in my opinion. And I'm gonna also use some garlic powder. And then instead of just regular milk, I'm going to use some cashew milk. I'm eyeballing everything, just going off of consistency. My potato masher. Add a little bit more of the cashew milk. I might as well just finish it. Okay, and those are looking good. Soaked up all that bone broth. I put that stuff in everything, but it has already soaked it all up. These are nice and soft. These are ready to go. Come here. This all turned out so good. Everyone we have made these for have absolutely loved them. So y'all need to give these a try and let me know what you think. All right, well, that is it. Thank y'all for being here. I hope this gave you guys some meal ideas or at least some inspiration. And thank you for bearing with me through the poor audio. Listening back and editing, I'm like, I can barely hear myself sometimes. Sometimes all I hear is like of the pan sizzling. So I do apologize for that, and I will be investing in a mic. But thank you guys for being here. Please like, subscribe, comment. All those things really help me out and really just encourage me to keep putting out more videos. So thank you guys again for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.